You know that feeling, right? The dread of a big writing assignment? Well, today, we're going to flip the script on that. We're going to see how to turn academic writing from something you have to do into a powerful way to find and shape really big ideas.
Ah, yes, this. The blinking cursor on that vast, empty page. It's almost mocking you, isn't it? It's that universal feeling of pressure, of just not knowing where to even start. We have all been there. But here's a thought. What if the problem isn't you, but the way we've all been taught to think about writing? Let's dive into a totally different approach, one that's less about just filling a page and more about going on a journey of discovery.
All right, so first things first, let's start by knocking down some of those mental roadblocks. The myths that make writing feel so much harder than it actually needs to be.
The source material for this explainer points out a few really common misconceptions about what academic writing is all about. Let's break down the 3 biggest ones that tend to hold us back.
First up is the perfectionism trap. We get so hung up on making every sentence perfect, worrying about every comma. But that's just the polish. The real work, the engine of your paper, is the argument, the core idea you're trying to build. Your language? That's just a vehicle to deliver it. Okay, myth number 2 is all about timing. We tell ourselves, I'll just read one more article, just one more book, and then I'll be ready to write. But honestly, that's completely backward. Writing isn't just for showing what you found. It's a tool for figuring out what you think. It's how you find the holes in your logic and realize what you still need to learn.
And the third big one, waiting for inspiration to strike like lightning. We have this romantic idea that great ideas just pop into our heads. But that's not really how it works. Big ideas don't come before you write. They are born out of the messy, consistent, and disciplined process of writing itself. It's a practice, not magic.
So, now that we've cleared the air a bit, let's get to the single most important idea in this entire explainer. Seriously, if you remember only one thing, make it this.
Let that sink in. Writing isn't something you do after you've done all your thinking. Writing is the act of thinking, just made visible. It's a process of wrestling with ideas on the page until they finally become clear. You're not just reporting on a conclusion, you're discovering it as you go.
The source calls this an intellectual process, but what that really means is that the heaviest lifting, the most important work, happens way before you start worrying about your introduction. It's about asking yourself, what problem am I really trying to solve here? What's my unique contribution going to be?
So, if we don't start with a perfect opening sentence, where on earth do we start? With a real, genuine, and compelling problem.
And notice the specific wording here. It's not choosing a topic, it's choosing a problem. That tiny change in wording is everything. A topic, like climate change, is just a big passive area. But a problem? A problem is a specific puzzle that needs solving. Like, why do some media campaigns about climate change actually backfire? See the difference?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because not just any old question will work. It has to be a problem that's actually worth spending your time on, and, more importantly, your reader's time.
So here's what to look for. A good problem is meaningful. It plugs right into a bigger conversation that people in your field are already having. It's debatable. There's no simple yes or no answer. And finally, it has implications. The answer you find actually matters. It changes how we think or what we do.
Okay, so once you've found that juicy problem, the next job is to frame it. This is how you give your writing a laser-like focus and a clear sense of direction.
Think of framing like being a photographer. The world is full of things to take a picture of, but you have to choose exactly what to put inside your frame. You're telling the reader, hey, of all the ways to look at this, this is the specific angle I'm taking. It shows them what you are focusing on and, just as important, what you're leaving out.
And the source offers this brilliant metaphor for your argument, the benang merah, which translates to the red thread. This is the central idea that should run visibly through your entire paper, from the first sentence to the last, tying everything together. And that brings us to the final and maybe the biggest mindset shift of all. Stop thinking of writing as a monologue. It's not a speech from a mountaintop. It's a lively conversation already happening in a room, and your job is to find a way to join in. A super practical and powerful tool for this is the They Say, I Say framework. The structure is so simple but so effective. You start by summarizing what other people are already saying about your problem. That's the they say. And only then do you introduce your own take, your I say.
So how does this work in practice? First, you listen.
You map out the existing conversation. Who are the key players? What are they arguing? That's your they say. Next, you figure out your own response. What's your unique position? That's your I say. And the real magic happens when you connect them, showing how your point is a direct response to what came before.
And remember, your I say doesn't have to be some dramatic takedown of another argument, not at all. You can contribute by adding new evidence to support someone else's idea, or by challenging a claim with new proof, or by expanding the whole conversation with a totally new angle.
See what happens here? The moment you start thinking this way, your role completely changes. You're no longer just a student summarizing sources to prove you did the reading. You are now an active participant, a contributor to a real intellectual conversation.
So forget the blank page. The real first step is to listen. Find a conversation that you find fascinating. Find a problem that needs a new voice, and then figure out how you're going to make your contribution. The question is no longer, what am I supposed to write? It's, so, what's the next conversation you're going to join?